All right, so let's talk about this whole Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin debacle. First and foremost, let's be clear with all of the facts, and let's use the facts as our foundation. I'm going to give you all the business perspective that I have so that we all can be on the same page. Now, we know that Shakur Stevenson is promoted by Top Rank. We also know that Frank Martin is promoted by Man Down Promotions through Showtime and the PBC banner. Like Top Rank is with the ESPN network, right? Let's keep this very simple. No fighter can dictate any terms to another fighter when they are signed to a promotion company. So let's keep that in mind. So, in essence, how can Shakur Stevenson say, Frank Martin, you deserve this amount of money when Shakur Stevenson is signed in an exclusive promotional deal with Top Rank and Bob Arum? First of all, Bob Arum and Shakur Stevenson, they are the ones who have a business relationship together. So whatever terms and conditions that Bob Arum dictate to Shakur Stevenson, he is going to have to agree to those terms and conditions because he's under contract with him. But him being contractually obligated to a promotion company does not give him leverage to dictate any terms to another fighter. Let's be clear on that. Fact number 2, Shakur Stevenson has representation. As I always tell y'all, good representation in this business is priceless. He has representation in Jay Prince, his manager. So why is Shakur Stevenson talking to a Frank Martin or reaching out to a Frank Martin via social media when he has a manager that represents him and represents his interests with regards to his contractual agreement with Top Rank? Let's be clear on that. Whatever was offered to Frank Martin, he basically does not believe it was a fair deal. $1 million to him may not be a fair deal. Okay? We don't know how much Frank Martin is generating under the PBC banner. I'm not saying he's generating $1 million. I don't believe he is. Okay? But let's be equally fair that we can't say Shakur Stevenson is generating over $1 million as well. I'm assuming that Shakur Stevenson does have the capacity to generate over $1 million. I'm not saying that he doesn't generate $1 million according to his contractual obligation with Bob Arum and Top Rank. What I am saying is, if you look at the landscape of how business has been conducted with Top Rank in the past, when you talk about fighters fighting each other, particularly at the 135-pound division, and let's be clear, Devin Haney and Lomachenko, they fought. And according to Bill Haney in a recorded conversation, we heard Bill Haney admit that both fighters, Lomo and Devin, right, they fought at a guaranteed purse of $2.8 million, and that was for all of the titles, correct? Okay, now, look at Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford. Sean Porter was with PBC at the time they fought. Terrence Crawford was with Top Rank. That fight, from what we heard, Terrence Crawford made $6 million. Sean Porter made $4 million. This is what we heard. That fight was for a world championship title, correct? Okay, this fight between Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson is not for any titles, and Shakur Stevenson practically just got to this weight class where Frank Martin has been at this weight class. So what I'm saying to you all is this: Shakur Stevenson is locked into a guaranteed contract with Top Rank. Remember, you've learned on this channel already. You've heard me say it, that there's a minimum and a maximum guarantee that a fighter, right? When I'm talking about compensation now, that a fighter makes, I'm talking about revenue now, when it comes to being contractually obligated to a promotion company. So let's just use this as an example. Let's just say 1.5 million. I'm just using this as a reference. Let's say that Shakur Stevenson's contract per fight will compensate him a minimum of $800,000 with a maximum of $1.5 million, right? Okay, that's the terms of his agreement with Top Rank. So he does not have any jurisdiction of dictating the terms of what's supposed to be generated for Frank Martin to get paid. That's a fact. Now, the questions that no one is asking, like I said in a recently published piece of content that I put out last week and the other day, what venue is the fight going to be held at? Who's going to pay the site fee? These are questions that most people that's reporting all of this don't understand. You have to understand the business of boxing. So that's the question. Okay? What network is going to pay the licensing fees to be able to promote this fight and publish the content of this fight on their network? These are the questions that are not being asked. And so me being in this business and understanding the business, those are the questions that I'm asking. All right? And then we can determine the split, et cetera, et cetera. But as long as Shakur Stevenson is tied down in a negotiation with Frank Martin, they both have to use representation. And as long as Shakur Stevenson is tied down into a contract with Top Rank, he can't dictate no terms to no fighter. Let's be clear on that. And so I don't know why this drama keep unfolding over and over on social media, but I'm putting it to rest right now. I wish both of these guys the best. They're both undefeated. They both have talent. They're both gifted athletes, and it is a fight that will be filled with fireworks, no question about it. But as far as the business side, because this is what we're talking about on social media, the business side of things, all of this is not fair. I'm offering you $1 million. You ain't never made this. All the back and forth between these two young men, it's unnecessary. They both are signed to a promoter, and in the terms and conditions of their contractual obligations to those promoters and vice versa, there's a minimum and maximum guarantee that the promoter have to compensate them with. And so that's the thing. We don't even know what network this fight's going to be streaming on. We don't even know what venue this fight is going to be held at. Okay? These are the two biggest itemized elements involved when we talk about what's fair as far as compensation goes. And on top of that, let's be clear on something. Neither one of these two fighters can dictate a percentage. Once again, they're signed to promotion companies. And I don't hear nobody talking about that because most people don't understand the business. So let's just be clear on that. As either these two guys going to fight or they're not going to fight. And we have to make sure there's a home as far as the network. Okay, we got to make sure it's the right, proper venue. We know that Shakur Stevenson does very well at the Prudential Center in New Jersey, his hometown, or his home state rather. We know this, right? Now, we're talking something. If they're going to hold it there, okay? But we don't even have none of the information. But we keep hearing they agreed to terms. Now we're hearing, oh, they never agreed to terms. Then we hear the fight's off because Frank Martin is saying that $1 million is not fair compensation. Well, if they agreed to terms, why are we hearing this now? Okay? We cannot go by hearsay from people that don't understand the business. So you came to the right place today to hear the business of boxing. And I hope you learned something. I'm Manager Marty. Till next time.